My client Carl is in a box. When I say my client, I should explain I'm an attorney. I work at the Ohio Justice and Policy Center. We're a nonprofit law office down in Cincinnati, Ohio. And I was very fortunate today to meet many people who we've met through our office. Hello to all of you. We represent people who are on the inside, protecting their right to adequate medical care, sometimes religious rights, other civil liberties. What I've done, though, in the past 10 years is represent people who have criminal records or out in the community, and that's where I met Carl. We do outreach legal clinics all around Cincinnati. As I said, we've done that for about 10 years, and I've talked to literally hundreds of people, probably thousands, that have a criminal record and are facing some barrier because of it. And that's the box that Carl is in. And Carl's not alone. Did you know 1 in 6 people in our state have a misdemeanor or felony record? That doesn't mean they spent time in this box, but they live in that box because of the fact of having a criminal record. And what is this box? It's not concrete, it's not bricks, it's not this chapel, it doesn't flex and hex. This box lives on a piece of paper, though. It's the box that says, "Have you ever been convicted of?" Check. That job application asks for a lot of innocuous information: name, address, phone number, date of birth, where did you go to high school. But there's a certain box on that application which serves to define you, serves to define the people that have to check it as whether they are trustworthy or dangerous, whether they're untrustworthy, whether they're a risk to society. So this box has created an enormous amount of barriers, not only just generally in job applications, but my office does legal research. We found 800 at least state statutes just in Ohio. I'm not even talking about federal. 800 statutes that say some version of, if you have thus and such criminal record, you cannot do fill in the blank. And those are sometimes called collateral sanctions, those laws. And there are, as I said, over 800, about half are employment related. So if you're here today and you're not going home at the end of the day, but you will hopefully in a few months, maybe a few years, you got to be thinking about, what am I going to do about this box? And if you came here today and are going home at the end of today, you too have to think about this box. If 1 in 6 of your neighbors has it, that's a huge portion of our economy. This is our shared prosperity we're talking about. This is our community safety we're talking about. How do we reintegrate people who have to check that box? How do we help them reframe it? That's the title of my talk today, actually, is Avoiding, Banning, and Reframing the Box. 3 different ways of dealing with the box that you face when you're on the outside and you face that piece of paper. So let me tell you about avoiding the box. Anybody here heard of expungement? Yeah? Okay, great. So a lot of people heard of it. Very few people understand it, only because expungement is actually the wrong word. In Ohio state law, it's called sealing a criminal record, and very few people qualify for it. In Ohio, the law is you can have 2 offenses total, maximum, end of story. If you have 3 offenses, nothing is getting sealed ever. You can't go back and pick the worst 2 or the 2 you don't like or the 2 that happened the first. They're never coming off once you have 3. Sealing is very, very narrow. So if you can't avoid the box, in other words, get the criminal record taken away so you don't have to check the box, the next solution that I've been part of is banning the box, or as I probably more accurate should say is delaying the box. This is a movement all across the country, I don't know how many people have heard of it, of local governments to change their hiring rules so they take the box off the application, thus the term banning the box. In fact, however, the criminal record check does get done. It just gets done at the end of the process. If anybody knows anything about working for a government, there's this whole regimented process. You take a civil service exam and you go through an interview and At the end, they do a background check. But you've had a chance to demonstrate that you're a human being, that you can present well in an interview, that you're qualified through the civil service exam. So banning the box, or really delaying that box, is a meaningful change in the law. It works usually in local governments. I've been part of 10 different cities and counties in just this state that have made this change. But if you get out of here today and you don't go to one of those cities, or you don't happen to have the skills or desire to work for a city government or county government that has one of these rule changes, your third option is reframing the box. Not quite as fancy as a hexaflexagon, but this is something I also got to be part of, changing state law to create an opportunity for you to tell a different story. Now, of course, you can always tell a different story about your life. I think the speaker who just came before me did a powerful story, and many people today have told stories reframing their box that they're in. But state law actually changed through the work of the Ohio Justice and Policy Center, and I will say Ed Ryan, the Deputy Director of Reentry for many years, who just stepped down last year and retired. We worked together to create a new law in 2011 that created certificates of achievement and employability. People heard that? Okay. We helped create that. You're welcome. I can't tell you how excited I am because I've never met so many people in one place who asked me about it at the same time without me having to tell it first. So let me tell you about how these certificates help you reframe the box. The certificates actually do two things. Number one, and actually I should say the number one reason that employers ask this criminal record check question and don't hire people with records, according to the surveys, is they're afraid of something called negligent hiring liability. This is, even if you present well at the interview, even if you look like you have the job skills, those employers are afraid that they might get sued, possibly, if you do something wrong, hurt somebody on the job. Not that you actually will, but you might. And so their insurance agent, their lawyer is whispering in their ear, yeah, I don't care how good he looks, don't hire felons. That's what the negligent hiring fear does. So the certificate says if you, the person holding it, apply for that job, you can say to the employer, you are now immune from negligent hiring lawsuits. You don't have to be afraid. You cannot be sued for this because of me. You wouldn't need to be because I'm an amazing worker and don't worry about that. But I'm telling you, like whatever your insurance agent told you, got it, certificate. So that's the first thing this certificate does. The second thing the certificate does is those 800 laws I said, trump card. That this certificate allows you to bypass state law, where before there was a locked door, now you can get in. You're not guaranteed the license. I don't know if you know, tons of professions nowadays require a license of some kind, from attorneys, of course, down to, to be a barber, to a cosmetologist, of course, anything in healthcare. If you're going to own your own construction business and be bonded and licensed by the state, all these things have state laws. And this certificate, where there was a locked door before, now the bouncer is going to slide it open and look at you up and down and say, as an individual, are you a threat to public safety? Have you turned your life around? Are you fit to work in this profession? And the third thing to know about these certificates is just how hard it is to get them. It's not impossible. It takes a few months, but it is a rigorous process. And for those on the inside, if you've seen the form, you know you have to complete a variety of programs, the best programs DRC has to offer. If you're on the outside, there's another certificate that's very similar, works exactly the same, except you have to demonstrate to a judge how you've turned your life around, all your record of rehabilitation. The judge has to do a risk assessment on you. So there's this validity to this certificate that it tells a story, it backs up your story of redemption. But here's the sad part of my message today, is that if you can't avoid that box, there are people who understand they can't avoid the box because they can't get their record sealed. The rules are so narrow. And some of them may not really be able to take advantage of this banning the box, delaying the box thing. They want, people need to know about reframing the box, and all they've been doing is just trying to tell their story, see what happened was. And as soon as you get into an employer's office and start telling a see what happened was story, you lose. But if you can get one of these certificates, you've got state seal of approval, of redemption, of turning your life around, of transformation. And yet, as I said, 1 in 6 people in Ohio have a criminal record. That's 1.9 million people. In the first year of the certificate's existence, since the law was passed, only 100 people got one. And not because judges are hard to get through, it's because people don't know. And so, everyone within the sound of my voice, you now know that avoiding the box is difficult, and very few people are going to take advantage. This ban the box movement is exciting, and it has potential to take off, but isn't taken off everywhere yet. Reframing the box is available to you right now. It's available to the guys you know on the outside who have criminal records, who are facing barriers. Please, everyone, take this knowledge and help others reframe the box.